Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a Dota Talk presentation of the Battle of Pride between the Malaysians and the Filipinos. This is Arrow Gaming versus Ledion, and it is the fourth game of this Best of 5 series. I was really concerned it was going to be a 3-0 shutout with all of the games being dramatically in favor of Arrow Gaming, but after two losses, it seems like Ledion found what they were looking for in their lineups. They pulled out an amazing win after, I believe, 51 minutes with their Morphling pickup on Doc and some amazing coordination from the remainder of Ledion. Can't take it away from Arrow Gaming. They played well. It was a very back and forth match, but the core lineup that they had just wasn't enough against what Ledion brought to the table. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the broadcast here on Dota Talk TV 2 on Twitch or in Dota TV if you did enjoy the ticket throughout these past 2 days. This is going to be what may be our last game. It's a best of 5 series and we are down to game 4. 2-game advantage for Arrow Gaming. But Ledion have shown that they certainly have the ability to take a game off of Arrow. Let's see if they can do it again. Going into the drafting phase, thanks for tuning in. I'm Blaze the Dota Talk. Checking out the Alchemist and Visage bans. Arrow Gaming did not have first pick, and we're afraid that that is exactly what Ledion were looking for. Though in the past, it seems like Nyx Assassin is much more their style. Anyways, we do see the Bristleback and the Slark both being selected for banning by Ledion. They don't want to have to deal with those heroes that can tank through quite a bit of different things. The Slark being able to just slip through so many major disables and lockdown mechanics. But interesting pickup from Arrow. I like it. I don't know what to say about it, but Morphling's back, baby. Like this is big, because last draft I was talking about how the Invoker pickup from Arrow for DDZ was most likely, actually it wasn't this draft, it was the draft before that, but anyways, it was most likely oriented towards denying that pick from Primo Nage, to say, hey, we respect Primo Nage's Invoker, we do not want to have to fight up against it, because it is extremely potent, but we can do a good job ourselves. DDZ, an amazing Invoker player, impressed me the past couple times I've seen him played, and now back in his hands once again. But Morphling, on the other hand, the same story. We're looking at a carry that was played so darn well by Doc, but Lance invented Morphling now. But Lance is a huge proponent of Morphling. Even before his recent buff, he was using Morphling in many different carry settings, and now they're going to do it again. Lance is going to be running his favorite carry. Well, I keep on saying stuff that I don't really have validated. He's going to play a carry that he plays damn well. Morphling is in Lance's hands, and it may be even scarier than the one that Doc brought last game. Now, we do see the Timber selection did slip through. It's one of those heroes that rarely gets past the Phase 1 bans, but when it does, it's a nice little hero to pick up. Problem is, it doesn't do squat to Morphling. It will negate a significant percentage of his agility if he's hit by the Whirling Death. It will be able to escape from Morphling, unless the Adaptive Strike breaks the Timber Chain. But as far as killing him, until he gets a Scythe of Ice, it's not possible. He only brings nukes, he only brings slows, he doesn't bring the hard lockdown that's necessary. So I'm still thinking that Ledion are going to be looking for some kind of Hex, Shadow Shaman or Lion style, or at least some kind of silence to keep tabs on the Morphling. But in the meantime, we do see the banning phase progressing. It's going to be Wisp and Clockwork to be taken out by Ledion. And Arrow are actually going to eliminate the Weaver and the Dragonite to make room for Lesh. Is this going to be a classic tri-lane? Shadow Demon Leshrac Morphling? The TI2 style? OP as all get out tri-lane? Like, that was the tri-lane. If you got that, you won. It's essentially that. Disruption, Split Earth, Waveform. They're dead. And it's so difficult to deal with. I guess they could try to Carapace after Disruption, that kind of thing, and make that irrelevant, but if they did get that combo, it wouldn't necessarily be overwhelmingly powerful in this metagame, but it sure would be a great throwback to how things used to be. Anyways, the Chen is going to be picked up here, possibly contested by Mozin's Enchantress, but for right now, it does look like they are going to be able to control their jungle effectively, at the very least, Ledion that is. So, I'm going to have a lot going for him in that regard, but if Invoker picks up a Hand of Midas, that's another creep they can take out of his hands and less of a threat from that Holy Persuasion. So they're going to go for
Radiant team pick
a bit of a head turner here and pick up the Sand King. And I'm not sure how they're going to run it. Are they gonna run? No, because I've only seen DDZ run the Invoker. I'm sure maybe Hawaii could. Bad Slow Game could run Invoker. And in the safe lane, they could go aggro try, but I don't like the feel of it. We'll see. If DDZ wanted to run the Sand King mid, then the Invoker would have to go in the safe lane, and the tri lane would have to be an aggressive one, which is possible with Morphling and Leshrac, but doesn't guarantee the Morphling the farm that he so justly deserves and so rightly needs. So I honestly think this might be a supportive Sand King, but honestly, I'm not too sure about that one either. Because when you consider the early stun range of Sand King and Leshrac, Burrow Strike at rank 1 is only a 350 initiation range. And there's even some movement speed aspects to that where it might need 400 or 450 to guarantee the stun. The cast animation on Split Earth, I don't exactly remember the... Oh, here it is. 0.35 seconds on top of Leshrac's extensive cast animation. And it just makes it very difficult to actually land that stun unaided. So you combine together the limitations of Sand King in the early game, like the first 2 or 3 levels, and the Leshrac, you're not going to be able to pin down a Timbersaw, that's for sure. And it makes it a little bit awkward as far as a try. Now they will be able to support him, and he will be able to survive, but it's not as aggressive as what we usually see from Arrow. Finally, we do see the Furion selected for them, so it's going to be definitely Bad Slow Game running the offlane Prophet, Lance running the carry Morphling, Xiangzai and Mozen going to be running the Leshrac and Sand King, not sure which is which, but that will leave DDZ for the Invoker mid. As far as the setup we're going to be seeing from Ledion, it is now going to be a supportive Nyx Assassin in the hands of Bonjourlet, I believe, leaving the Chen to be played as a support, of course, as well in the jungle. We're going to be seeing the offlane Timbersaw, most likely by Bercy. That will leave Storm Spirit to be played by Primo Nage. And the final selection is going to be a carry. 1 minute left on the draft. Up against a Morphling, where do you go? I don't know. I think they need something with momentum. I think they just need to go kind of a huge aggression and say, okay, yes, you're going to be out-ratting us with your split push potential between Morphling and Prophet. You're going to be out-carrying us with Morphling, Invoker, and Furion. We need to make the hurt, bring the hurt within the first 15 minutes of the game. And they're going to do that with a Puck. So there's actually going to be a carry Storm Spirit, a mid Puck, and an offlane Timber, of course. So setting up a very aggressive lineup that doesn't need farm whatsoever. Now, Doc will still look for a Orchid, which, as I mentioned, is really good against Morphling and a number of Arrow's heroes. And Puck will still look for his Blink Dagger for that initiation. But once they get enough tools to chain their silences, Waning Rifts, and Orchids, then they're just going to go huge pressure on Morphling and try to end the game before, let's say, the 35-minute mark. That's going to be the intention there, but we'll see if they can actually accomplish just that. So I'd like to thank you, viewers, once again for tuning in to the 4th game of our Best of 5 finals in the Battle of Pride, brought to you by DatBet, Dota Talk, and Esports Club. Or eClub, sorry. So, looking at the official rosters and seeing exactly what they're bringing to the table here, Ledion are going to be running Doc on the Storm Spirit, most likely on the safe lane. Bercy is going to be heading up top on that Timbersaw. Leaves Primo Nage to be mid on the Puck, being pulled tangos and rushing a bottle. Actually, no, going full out Null Talisman. He wants to win his lane. And then that'll leave, of course, Yoshcat on the Nyx Assassin and Bonjourlet on the Chen this time. So he's been playing, Bonjourlet's been playing a lot of Nyx, but obviously they want to switch things up a little bit and see who can do what as efficiently as possible. In the meantime, looking over the official lineup of Arrow, we do see Hawaii going for another Boots first start. They're actually going to smoke this. This could be a huge First Blood class. I'm going to delay the introduction here because I think this is going to net a kill, but we'll see if this Burst Strike can actually get in range. As I said, a pretty small stun range. They have to get them completely caught unawares. Doc has no mobility right now, 290 MS, no ball lightning, but the smoke breaks, and now Yoshcat is the one that they're going to look for. He doesn't have Spike Carapace. Will they get the Sprout? They don't even skill it. And as a result, the smoke will not succeed. But they're going to go ahead and pull a trick that we saw in Game 1 used against Arrow Gaming and Mozin's Enchantress, and they're going to go ahead and block off some key camps. A great sentry ward placement will nullify the hard camp here, but you're much more likely to deward in this area to try to take out the one that could be blocking here or on the magic bush. So with this, it's going to actually be pretty difficult to guarantee the deward on this, and as a result, we may in fact see Chen doing the same thing and moving into the enemy's jungle. We'll see. Anyways, since I didn't get a chance to introduce, we're seeing Hawaii, aka Bad Slow Game, running on the off-lane Nature's Prophet. That's going to leave the Invoker to the mid lane, running Exort, build as DDZ. That is going to be Sand King, picked up by Mozun. Going to try to control that top lane, support the Morphling as best as possible, while Xiang Zai zones with the Leshrac, focusing primarily on the wards right now. And as mentioned, Lance is going to be running on that Morphling, and already starting with an interesting skill set. Going for 9 strength compared to 34 agility as a baseline. He is really, really morphing hard on this one. And that was, of course... Oh, I was going to say that was at level 1 in the Fountain, but because they went for that smoke movement, he actually couldn't afford to spend his skill point in the Fountain. So what he ended up doing is morphing on the lane, and that did cost him about 100 mana here. Whether or not he'll need that in the next few minutes remains to be seen. Anyways, he actually didn't go for the Basilius. Maybe a Ring of Health Rush, I'm not too sure, but I thought going to the side shop he'd be going for that Bassi Ring to get that mana back up where it needs to be. But just gonna go for the Boots build, and we'll see how it plays out from here. Anyways, as stated, it's a very aggressive thing to do to go for this much agility morph this early on, but it means that you're gonna be last hitting like a champ. Like right here, there's nothing that can stop Lance just farming away over and over and over again. Ooh, interesting movement from Timbersaw. I saw him in the side shop, but he's actually going to try to evade the opposition by digging a tunnel with his Quelling Blade here. So he's kind of playing a little bit of Hannah Montana Timbersaw, I suppose. But we do see some damage coming down bottom. Boots of Speed is the only thing keeping Hawaii alive, and maybe not for much longer. We'll see how much damage they can deal in this short time frame. No Spike Carapace Reflect on Nature's Prophet's auto attack actually means he's going to do some good damage to Doc, forcing the salve. In the meantime, Bonjourlay, look at this. He's trying so hard to kill off this sentry ward, and in fact it is in range, but it's out of his line of sight. He didn't deward it. He spent so much money on sentries here. Starting off here, trying to take out this ward. Going down here, trying to take out the bush ward. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And now, how frustrated he must be to realize that a sentry he placed earlier actually revealed the ward, he just didn't see it with his own 2 eyes. That's brutal. That's very, very frustrating for him. But in the end, he spends 400 gold, he commits a lot to the sentry wards, and he finally opens up his camp to spawn at the 3-minute mark, but in the meantime, still sitting on level 1. Meanwhile, top lane, big damage coming out for the first blood. So distracted by some camp action, we didn't see that the Timbersaw was a little bit overextended here. He is only level 1, didn't have anything in reactive armor, and as a result, when they got in range for their stuns, they were able to seal the deal, even without a teleport from the Nature's Prophet. So... great movement from Arrow and a bit of a misplay from Timbersaw. As I said, he should never, ever, ever let Sand King get in range for that kind of a stun. And in the rarest of circumstances, should Leshrac be able to find one without any assistance at this stage. So let's look at the damage. Looking over, obviously we saw First Blood occur just recently, but other than that, no gold has been really taken out on the field other than CS. So we do see that Primo Nage is currently just slightly ahead of DDZ on the mid lane, which is surprising considering 2 points in Exort. Usually the puck falls behind a little bit because of his lack of right-click damage, but he, as I said, wanted to win the lane. So he went for the Null Talisman Rush build, and it's done wonders. Right now he's 14-1 for Invoker, 16-6, which would have been... It's not... Obviously, he's still losing, but he would have been losing so much harder against a hard Exort Invoker if it was a different circumstance. And now, denying the Illusion Rune from Timbersaw, DDZ's doing a great job on this mid lane. In fact, Cold Snap and Fort Spear are going to do some damage to Puck. He's used his Phase Shift and his Orb, and so he is going to be dropped down to about 350 before He uses the bottle here to sustain.
Radiant structures
Anyways,
are fortified.
down in bottom lane, they're going to dive past the tower using the Centaur Stomp, getting some stuns out to finish off the Furion while the push ensues on the top lane. So on two fronts, a lot of action is happening. But I gotta say that I think that Arrow's push is a little bit stronger. This Diabolic Edict is essentially the best early push skill in the game. And you're seeing it just evaporate this tower now, claiming the last hit for him, and giving Timbersaw a little bit of a shaky position as far as where he's going to farm. Now the TP rotation comes in. It's going to be Mosin Sand King going in for the stun here, waiting for the Carapace to expire. Now under tower, he will Burrow Strike him. Now the tower will fall to Storm Spirit, but they will get a kill in return. So, just a home. Doc, just playing around, really. Anyways... Oh, Split Earth Reliance on Primo. This is huge. Big stun coming out. The Edict is going to do so much. The Phase Shift, worthless. And that is actually a huge pickoff for Xiang Zai. Really, really nicely done. That unaided Split Earth because there was no vision on the puck. He doesn't have a mid-observer ward, and as you can see, his line of sight is very limited by these steps. Wow. Things are breaking down very interestingly. Not exactly predictable for how this played out. Now, the First Blood was in fact claimed by Storm Spirit on the Prophet, and that's important to keep in mind. At least I thought it was. Maybe. No. The First Blood was on the Timbersaw. Sorry, yeah. The First Blood was on Bercy. He was only level 1 at the time, and he did get killed off. So the First Blood was spilled by Arrow. On top of that, the Tier 1s trades, because obviously both off lanes lost their Tier 1s, were not balanced out because of the fact that Arrow got a kill on that bottom lane as well because of Mosin's TP. So they've got a 2-kill advantage, equaled out on tower, and they have so much more early push potential that they should be able to get a very early lead. And while this would be just an okay thing for Arrow, it's actually really huge because they're the late game lineup. They're the one that wants to take this as long as possible while Ledion lack a genuine carry. So they have to do something now. Missing on the Impale is not one of those things. The Split Earth, the Burrow Strike, the kill on the Nyx Assassin. And that is brutal. Ledion, this game might be over before it begins. I mean, he had 3 targets and they just split apart and he threads the needle right when he needs that damage the most. So they get some guaranteed damage on the Tier 1 on bottom. They get a free kill. And they force Yoshcat to a very, very painful position. But now with Ball lightning up, they're going to go hard onto Mosin here, but he's going to get the Burrow Strike onto 2. Sunstrike comes out to bring down Doc, and the Nyx Assassin will likely drop to Carapace, reflecting some damage, though. A great Dream Coil from Primo. They will turn this around on the Leshrac, but still the Treants are there. They finish off the Nyx, and with Mosin reinitiating with Burrow, they will pick up another kill on the puck. So this is a really, really great start for Arrow. And of course, why not add a little bit more fuel to the fire? This Furion is able to dive deep. Now will pay for it with his life. There's no way he lives. With a good remnant anyways. There we go. Anyways, lost my train of thought. Good TP, aggressive to bring down the Chen, but of course it did make him vulnerable to that counter engagement, which technically makes it unfavorable. Like if Furion just TP'd home, he would be still alive, and the support pickoff on the Chen wasn't the most consequential. But one way or another, they get some space here on the mid lane to do some damage with Edict, and they are getting some big damage in. Primo maxing out the orb for the maximum counter push, but still the tower will fall. No deny. Coming in, Yoshcat will be able to get a good, bad, terrible, completely useless stun off, and we do see now DDZ taking a lot of damage, but Mosin on the back end cleans up the Nyx Assassin. The Invoker traded 1 for 1, but now looking at Mosin, he has his Arcane Boots, and he has enough to keep this fight rolling if Ledion overextend. But Arrow don't need to fight on this front. They're looking for towers. They're looking to make use of this rank 3 Diabolic Edict on the level 5 Leshrac, and the best place will be down here on bottom lane. So we'll see if they can get a kill off before that, or if they're just going to rush on down to the tower. But either way, one train of thought that I was getting into before all that fighting broke out was how important it is for Arrow to get this early gold. Essentially, right now, Ledion don't have a legitimate carry. They can farm all day long, but they're going to be taken down in the endgame by Morphling. There's no doubt in my mind about that. If we give 100,000 gold to each hero in this game and bring them all to level 25, Arrow win, hands down. Unless they're the most throwtastic team I've ever seen, which they tend not to be. So With that in mind, they want to move towards late game, and the best way to enhance their rate of travel to that destination is to get these early tower kills. So they're getting early farm, they're on creeps, on heroes, and on towers, and they're just catapulting themselves in the mid game. Now, Lance does get hit up by the Dream Coil. He will fall here, and that is his first effective death, but he's still gotten so much done while on the lane. 61 CS, adding up to a 4,400 net worth, and he will be finding his Lincoln Sphere at a very solid time. Now, don't ask me about this phase boots. These make no sense in my mind at all, but to each his own. I respect Lance enough on Morphling to say, if you think it's a good idea, you can go ahead with it, even though I personally would never make that kind of a build happen. Anyways, we're going to see the push ensue with rank maxed out Nature's Call, a freshly picked up Mechanism, and Xiangzai's rank 3
Dire's top
Diabolic
tower is
Edict.
under attack.
Question is, can they hold the line with this fortification? They're going to certainly try. Chen right now being maybe pinned in. If they caught him out here, this would be huge, but they're just going to farm some neutral creeps and actually walk right on by. In the meantime, look at this tower drop down. Fortification now forced out, and they need the Storm. Where's the Storm? Doc doesn't have a TP. He's half mana. He can't stop this. They're going to take another tower. And as such, they're getting more and more gold for the Morphling and for their team as a whole. This is looking bad. If Doc was here, they might be able to fight it. But without him, they certainly they see the tower 100%. Now we see the Sunstrike and the burst from Lance. Hand of God's not going to save him as Waveform gets the last hit. Great Invisring pickup from the Morphling, and a good coordination between him and Invoker to secure the kill. So, state of affairs. They've taken 4 towers while their opponents have only taken 1. They've taken 10 kills where their opponents have only taken 5. They've picked up Mechanism for teamfights, Blink Dagger for initiation, and now they're looking at Roche. What can Ledion honestly do to turn this around? I don't know. This is just looking so bad for them. They're buying up Null Talismans to try to keep the puck up and at him, but that means he's going to start getting Ethereal Blade before he has anything more than Blink. In the meantime, Roche, like I said, being targeted. We do see the orb scouting it out now, but I think it's too late. They've already dropped it down to 1800 HP, rapidly falling, and the orb's on CD. There's no way to stop this. Aegis the Immortal on Morphling once again. Once again, I referred to the last game. I guess that's not really too appropriate here, but it's brutal. However, they are moving towards Mechanism on Chen. He will be able to pick this up in about 900 some odd gold, and that will help them survive throughout the early burst that Sand King, Wrath of Nature, and Morphling are bringing. But the sustained damage, the Epicenter, now that the Blink is up, the Epicenter comes into play a lot more, and Epicenter, Edict, that's a hell of a lot of damage in AoE and single target capacities. Actually, DDZ in a bit of a overextended spot, but Doc doesn't have any reinforcements. There's not really anything stopping, actually setting it up. Oh, wow, so much damage from this Cold Snap, from the Melting Strike, and a quick blink forward. DDZ looks for the kill, the Sunstrike to kind of scout things out, but not to find the kill. And as a result, they're going to have to dive deep for this one. 6 seconds left on his TP. I think Doc lives. But in the meantime, there's potential action with the Sand King lurking in the shadows. Dire Vision doesn't show anything here, but they know they have to be still close by. They haven't passed this causeway until just now. Now coming in, the Morphling will be Waveform, but a double burrow will come from this Blink Dagger. And they should be able to set up at least 1, maybe 2. In just a moment here. Do they have Adaptive Strike? Yes, they do. And they will cancel that TP and bring down the Assassin of Nyx. Cleaning up a few of Chen's creeps here. It just feels like Ledion don't have anything going for them, and they've kind of rebounded back to their old defensive posture. And it's not like they made the mistake in the draft. They picked a great offensive draft, but it feels like they just got outplayed when it came down to the actual game itself. Their plan was solid, get early aggression, puck and Storm Spirit, kill, kill, kill. But instead, we see the Tri-Lane succeeding in amazingly well with First Blood and with early kills. They push hard with the Leshrac, and Ledion are caught blindsided. Now going to try to defend this. The Hand of God on CD though, and no Mechanism available. Nice orb coming across, but it's not enough to go on here. Top lane. Not really too much to speak of. Looks like they will try to blink Cold Snap to bring down Doc, but because the Sunstrike didn't connect, I think he will be able to evade this, though costing a lot of mana in the process. expending a lot of mana in the
Dire's
process.
top tower is under attack.
Nice TP though. If he had just kind of gone on the run, he would have easily walked into Furion, walked into a couple others, and that would have been his death. But wisely goes for the Ball Lightning TP and at least keeps himself up this time around. But then for all that's worth, for all surviving is, we look at the current state of affairs. The goal graph in 12,000 in the hole for Ledion, 5,000 in favor of Arrow and experience. And you look at where that gold is. It's not just across their team distributed evenly. It's on the item-dependent heroes. You've got Invoker with a Blink Dagger and a Midas. You've got Prophet with a Mechanism Medallion and soon-to-be Necro build up. In fact, oh gosh. Gosh, that's not kosher. So, with the Sage's Immortal, Lance is getting it even more aggressive, and if he is the one to initiate, even at the possible cost of his first life... What? Okay, I actually didn't catch Puck trying to maneuver with his Blink Dagger and Orb behind enemy lines here. They punish him for it. I was going to say that if Lance and loses his Aegis, Mosin's going to be right behind him with a huge Epi Blink. Instead, just going hard onto Nyx, and they're just walking in one by one. Like, I could call these, I could talk about them, but there's really nothing to analyze here. They're just feeding their lives away if they don't get something together within the next 15 seconds. They need to group up together, all as 5, and try to make a final push to get them out of the base and get some big kills on the board. They have a flank with Doc, but he's a hero that can maneuver anywhere in the fight anyways. It's not like he needs that position to make this happen. Either way, they're going to go in now. Nyx Assassin has Vendetta. Going in hard, big damage coming out. Puck and Timbersaw turning this around. Great Waning Rift. They will bring down the Furion, but Sand King gets a nice double burr off. A great splitter to follow, and there's the death of Doc. Primo dropping low as well. Lance should have him. Yes, they will get a huge kill swing, forcing the buyback of the Puck. Nyx Assassin heading for the hills. Will not get stunned up by Leshrac, but here comes Primo back in, trying to get some revenge onto Lance here. Vendetta hits him, but he's still up and kicking with the Aegis. Xiangzai will fall to the Timbersaw. Lance waves away. Bonjourlay with the Test of Faith. One right click required. He doesn't get enough. Missing. Oh, Epicenter Burrow Strike coming in. He does fall. Getting hit up by Nyx and Puck, but he does force the Puck away. The Nyx Assassin falls, and Morphling's back in the action here. Lance, so much HP right now, morphed up to 59 strength. He's going to have to back off. He has no offensive potential here. He can only run. But still going to try to do what he can. A long duration stun coming from that adaptive strike, but actually a nice turn of events for Ledion. Not in the context, of course, of losing their racks, but it's something. They're getting kills, and that's what the hits lineup has been all about all game, but it didn't happen until after they're losing their entire lane here. So I kind of feel too little too late, but we'll have to see. Maybe they can get enough kill momentum, maybe Arrow can throw it a little bit, and we could see this be dragged out a little more. For right now, I gotta say that the big thing is they did burst down the Prophet, acknowledge how squishy he was, and killed him off before the mechanism came out one time around, but buybacks are a big deal in this game. They bought back on the Puck. He got into it pretty effectively. Actually didn't buy back on the Furion. He just respawned and was able to teleport back to the fray. But if they do fight in their base again and they use a buyback on Storm, who now has an Orchid, they could go with that double mana pool, with that double health pool of Doc, route them from their base this second time. I mean, we saw how good they can be with that initial burst. Primo Nage got a really amazing Orb and Waning Rift right when Timbersaw unleashed his full payload. So we certainly see the kill potential, but it just hasn't been coming of late. We do see Mosin. He will be picked off 100%, but can they get Lance is the real question here. He'll wave away, just completely nullifying that Dream Coil. And here's DDZ with a lot of damage to bring down Doc. Xiangzai will pop off the Edict, and this should be a 3-man wipe. Yeah, they are going to be able to bring down all their core targets. Timbersaw will be able to avoid this fight entirely, but Chen, no such luck. He's gone. So Timbersaw's here to defend the base from these mean mega creeps. But in the meantime, Arrow just runs all over them. They invested all their skills, all their nukes, all their items into bringing down Mosin. And you have to remember that with this kind of a farm advantage, just 4 members of Arrow can easily take down 4 members of Ledion without a huge advantage. So we see this coming very rapidly to a close. 20,000 and 8,000 in golden experience respectively for Arrow. And they're looking for this melee Rax. If they get this melee Rax, there's no coming back. But right now we'll see here Doc coming in on the Storm Spirit. Hey, is that on an illusion or did I miss something? I have no idea. But right now we do see a big stun coming out of Nyx. A great wave form across to finish him off. And now Primo doesn't have anything up his sleeve. Will pop the orb in a moment, but with no jaunt with no phase can he even get out of here? Taking so much damage while Invoker cleans up on the western flank. Primo will fall, and Invoker runs rampant across the base. The GG is called, and you have your Battle of Pride champions. The Pinoys gave it their best shot, but in the end, Malaysian Pride triumphs. Aero Gaming will take first place in this tournament, concluding the best of 5 with a 3-win, 1-loss. Great series from Aero Gaming. A very solid Game 3 from Ledion. Gave a lot of hope to their Filipino supporters, but the end result is a very convincing win from Aero Gaming. Very nicely done. There's not much more to analyze because there was such a momentum that all the little things added up so quickly. And from there, even the minor plays weren't necessary because they had such an overwhelming advantage. I'll probably go back and check the replays, see how they even got that first blood on the Timber Saw. But beyond that, well played to Aero, and really, really good responsive play. They pulled out a crazy lineup. I mean, if you examine their lineups across this series, almost never returned to a previous strategy. They shifted it over and over and over again. They played DDZ on a ton of different heroes. Lance played a different carry almost every game. I mean, you look at this roster, and you see how versatile Aero Gaming can be, and obviously how dominant as they take 3 of the games very convincingly, only losing out on 1. So, good game, well played to them. Aero Gaming, a much-deserved victory to conclude our best of 5. Game 4, that is Aero Gaming, your Battle of Pride champions. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. Shout out to DatBet for sponsoring the tournament, as well as Dota Talk and eClub for organizing and supporting it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the games and series as much as I did. Woke up at 12:30 in the morning just to cast these games because I knew they were going to be good. And as a result, we get a great series that I'm happy to be able to have been casting for you guys. If you guys enjoyed the commentary or want to provide some feedback for it, check me out on twitter.com/blazecasting. I'll also be uploading these VODs to youtube.com/blazecasting, which I'm trying to get more on top of as far as those frequent uploads. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, GG, WP.